COVID-19 on PEI, but a warning, do not let your guard down.
The worst of this is not over.
If Islanders don't follow the public health recommendations, all the restrictions will have to be in place longer. Good evening. Thank you for joining us on Compass. There are no new cases of COVID-19 on PEI tonight for the third day in a row. The total number of cases is still 22, but public health officials say there will be more, and this is definitely not a trend. Nicole Williams leads off our coverage again tonight with that warning. Nicole.
Yes, so Louise, we're told that even though there are no new cases, and in fact, as you mentioned, it's been a few days since we've had a new case confirmed, this is not a sign to start taking it easy on public health measures. And in fact, Dr. Heather Morrison says the worst of COVID-19 on PEI is not over. Take a listen.
If we ease up now, we will not have the impact we need to protect Islanders and our system. The better we all do now may mean we can ease up in a way that we all want, and we may be able to ease up earlier. But if we do not follow these public health recommendations very well, we will have to spend a longer time doing them.
Dr. Morrison also had a new suggestion, Nicole, about how people could prevent the spread of COVID-19. She spoke about masks. Lots of people have been asking about that.
Yes, so she says that physical distancing, staying at home, washing your hands, these are all still the best measures in preventing the spread of COVID-19. She also says that wearing homemade cloth masks aren't proven to prevent the spread of COVID-19, or rather to prevent you from getting it. But she says that wearing one in a place where physical distancing is difficult, let's say public transit, that it could help. It's similar to coughing into your sleeve. It could stop you from spreading anything to other people. She says, though, to be clear, masks are in no way a replacement for actual public health measures. As for healthcare workers, we're told again today that wearing these masks, those medical grade professional masks, is essential. The chief of nursing says that they're expecting a shipment of those N95, those fitted masks, at any point, either today or tomorrow, and that they're working with local companies to get their hands on more equipment. In fact, one PEI supplier was able to give them hand sanitizer, and what the province is doing now is doing everything they can to preserve their equipment. Take a listen.
All health PEI facilities have begun saving the used N95 masks, as good research is happening locally and nationally on how to reprocess these masks for reuse, following proper sterilization procedures. This will help with our supply concerns, as these masks are in high demand. We're looking at further conservation measures to safely reduce our use of supplies, while ensuring our staff and physicians have the protective equipment they need.
The province also says we are moving to something called virtual care. What does that look like?
Well, Louise, these are video appointments given to you by your primary healthcare provider, nurses, mental health and addictions staff. And so we know that this is going to be rolling out this week, and it's to reduce the need for any in-person visits to maintain that social physical distancing. We know that staff are being trained on this in the coming days. That's not only to teach them how to use this equipment and technology, but also to teach them how to interact with their patients and clients over video. And we're told that more details on how to make an appointment and what this will all look like will be made available in the days ahead.
Thank you, Nicole. Appreciate the update. That's Nicole Williams reporting live tonight. Nicole there mentioned a local company providing hand sanitizer for healthcare workers. It's BioVectra in Charlottetown. So far, the company has made 1,200 liters of sanitizer on top of its regular contracts. It's delivered to the province, which then repackages and distributes it. The sanitizer is registered with Health Canada, but BioVectra says it's not equipped to supply to the consumer market. And here are the latest numbers for testing on PEI. Almost 1,400 people have been tested. 2 of those, as we've said, are positive. 984 are negative. 22 of those, as we said, are positive. The number of tests we are waiting on is 368. Dr. Morrison says more and more tests will be done locally as we go through the week, and that should reduce the amount of time the province needs to wait for test results to come back. Now that the weather is warming up, some islanders may not be as vigilant with the physical distancing requirements. The Public Health Office is getting complaints about that, including some about public spaces. Charlottetown's mayor has a specific request. He wants people to stay in their own neighborhoods to avoid clogging up parks and popular gathering spots.
If you live in Sherwood, if you live in Winslow, stay in your own neighborhoods, practice physical distance, be smart, stay apart. And that's the purpose of opening up that inside laneway, was to provide more space between users at Victoria Park, not to open the floodgates to say, come on down.
Philip Brown says police will be ramping up monitoring of physical distancing in Victoria Park, and he says the city will be opening other trails so everyone can get out for walks safely. There are calls coming in constantly to the COVID-19 phone line and to law enforcement about people not physical distancing and not self-isolating when they should be. As of last night, law enforcement has visited 71 households. Officers have given out many verbal warnings and written ones as well. 3 people have been fined. Here's a little more on what we need to keep doing to contain the spread of COVID-19.
I know we don't have any new cases to report again today, but it is not a signal to stop or slow down our public health measures. And the worst of this is not over. And certainly what I'm learning more about as we start to look at what is happening across the country, and I believe what we are doing is making a difference. But very importantly, and I implore everyone to listen to this, we must continue to physically distance, self-isolate when requested, when required on return from out of province, and really to follow these recommendations and these public health measures.
Many island children spent time doing schoolwork today. Their learning is now happening at home. Steve Bruce caught up with some teachers and parents to find out how their first day went.
Well, what we've seen today is teachers trying some different approaches to home learning, depending on the grade level, depending on the subject. And while the education department says this is all really still a work in progress, one thing is pretty clear at this point, that as students try to adjust to home learning, teachers have really had to adjust the demands placed on them. This was the scene at Mary Chason's house in Surrey today. She has one kid in grade 1, another in grade 11, both at the area's French school. While her youngest watched a video of a teacher reading a story today, her oldest took on a listening activity for his high school music class. Jason says the key for her and her husband, who are both still working themselves, is that the amount of schoolwork seems manageable.
Nothing needs to be done in a timely manner, so we can still do them on the weekend if we don't have a chance to do them throughout the week. And it's kind of at your own speed.
It was pretty stressful.
High school teachers like Rebecca Branton spent much of last week figuring out how to pare down their lesson plans to focus in on what's most essential to teach each week.
We expected to provide 2 hours of work when we see them in class for 6+ hours.
Today, she used Google Classroom to share slideshows with her students. They'll have to complete an assignment based on those slides. She says teachers have been told to provide feedback, but there won't be any formal marking.
Not all students are in the same place at home, whether it's access to materials, whether it's access to internet, the support that they would have to do it at home. So it's not a sort of a level playing field that they would have if they were in school, so we can't assess them all the same way.
The education department says it's still working on how to best support students who don't have internet access or who have learning disabilities. The other big question is how long this all goes on, whether students will be back at school on May 11th or will be learning from home for the rest of the year. Steve Bruce, CBC News, Meadowbank.
And you're seeing many changes at local grocery stores these days. One-way aisles, barriers between customers and cashiers, and now some are offering free paper bags. Retailers on PEI now have the option. The Retail Council of Canada says some employees were worried about their health because of the condition of some reusable bags. It's up to the stores to decide whether they want to waive the fee. Some stores have changed their procedures so that customers must now pack their own bags as well. The PEI Humane Society has seen an increase in adoptions in the last few weeks, even though it's closed. 88 animals were adopted in March. The executive director thinks it's because more people are at home and they have time to train the animal and spend time with it. Interviews for adoption are now done on the phone. And if you are experiencing a high level of anxiety because of COVID-19, there is now free counseling available. It's being offered by Family Service PEI. It is secure online group counseling, and it's for children, youth, and adults. The focus of the groups will be on ways to cope through these difficult times. Anyone interested can send a message to this email address: register@familyservice.pe.ca.
Well, it was beautiful. It was sunny today and mild as well across the island. Now we will see winds become northwesterly through the overnight hours tonight. That will usher in some cooler air. Temperatures still above the freezing mark, not by much. And we will still hold on to at least some of this nice sunshine. As for how long that sun will be sticking around, I'll have the details coming up in your full forecast.
Some farmers are concerned about having enough workers for the coming season. There are long delays in bringing in temporary foreign workers. And now there are talks with the province about getting islanders who've been laid off to help out. Kerry Campbell has more tonight. He's working from home for us. Good to see you, Kerry. What can you tell us about these concerns?
Well, Louise, every year PEI brings up to 400 temporary farm workers from Mexico, different countries in the Caribbean. Now, those workers have been deemed essential, so they are allowed into the country. And once they get here, they have to self-isolate for 14 days. But the problem right now, one of the problems is just getting them here. In other years, they would have come on commercial airliners. Well, commercial air traffic has been disrupted. They also need to get a clean bill of health from their home country before they leave. Seems like not the best time maybe to try to find a doctor to take on that appointment. So already the season's not even begun, and some of those workers have already missed their target deadline for arriving here.
And Kerry, I understand there are some concerns about bringing in workers in the middle of a pandemic.
Certainly from the public, and you can understand why. Right now there's a story in BC, a COVID-19 outbreak among a group of temporary farm workers there. Although they arrived before the border was shut down, it's not sure what type of screening was involved when they would have arrived in Canada.
So health concerns, along with concerns about having enough workers for the season, what solutions are being discussed?
Well, the PEI Federation of Agriculture has been talking with the province about coming up with incentives to get islanders laid off from their other jobs to spend the season working on a farm, similar to a program that already exists for students that offers them a bursary of $1,000 for taking on a farm work as a summer job. But one of the farmers I spoke with said he doesn't want to have laid off workers in his fields. Then if the economy gets better, they get offered their old jobs back. He's left with no one to bring in his harvest. And time really is of the essence here. That particular farmer, he says best case scenario, he expects his first group of foreign workers to arrive 5 weeks behind schedule. Spring planting for a lot of crops will be underway by the end of the month, and Mother Nature isn't going to wait for island farmers to try to get their labor issues sorted out.
Good point, Kerry. Thank you. That is Kerry Campbell reporting from his home tonight. Today's the first day people can apply for the Canada Emergency Response Benefit. That program gives some Canadians $2,000 a month for the next 4 months. But there are people who are still falling through the cracks. Julie Van Dusen reports.
Millions of Canadians have seen COVID-19 wipe out their jobs in an instant. Chiropractor Marissa Verdoni is one of them. She applied for the emergency benefit this morning and was approved.
I'm thoroughly impressed with it. So easy when it could have been a lot more challenging with all the high stress everyone's under right now and unsure of their incomes. That was really great.
The government aimed to make it easy to apply for the $2,000 monthly benefit, which will be accessible for 4 months. Starting this morning at 6 a.m., Canadians whose birthdays fall between January and March could sign on. Those with birthdays April through June can apply tomorrow, and so on. The staggered approach was designed to make sure the system didn't crash. The government says, fingers crossed, so far so good.
More than 300,000 applicants already having successfully deposited their request for a CERB.
Applicants who use direct deposit will get their payment within 3 business days, 10 days by mail, and a new application is needed every 4 weeks for those still out of work. Some Canadians will fall through the cracks. Those who didn't earn up to $5,000 in the past year, many students as an example, and those Canadians who have lost the bulk of their income, but not 100% of it. The Prime Minister says he's aware there are problems.
Whatever your situation, we are working to get you the help you need.
As for the other benefit, the 75% wage subsidy designed to help employers keep their employees on the payroll, that can't go ahead until legislation is passed. The Prime Minister says that the House of Commons will return briefly in the coming days to deal with that. Julie Van Dusen, CBC News, Ottawa.
In the UK, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has been moved to intensive care in a London hospital. His symptoms apparently worsened this afternoon. Johnson has COVID-19. He was admitted to a hospital about a week and a half after he first tested positive. England has more than 51,000 confirmed cases with over 5,300 deaths. And as we go to break, a live look outside our studio in Charlottetown this evening. Jay Scotland's full forecast is coming up right after this break. Stay with us.
I'm Mitch Cormier. Tuesday on Island Morning, dairy farmers will this week see 3 different scenarios on how COVID-19 could impact their livelihood and the 300 jobs at ADL Dairies. We'll talk to the head of the dairy on the next Island Morning.
The Delta, Prince Edward, and Charlottetown may be closed, but that is not stopping staff there from sending out a message to Islanders. Some of the room lights are still on, and you can see there, if you look really closely, they are in the shape of a heart. You know what? That's a small gesture with big, big impact. So thank you for that lovely little heart. And Jay is here with the full forecast. The sun has been a welcome sight for many, Jay. Will it be sticking around? Everybody wants to know.
Well, we will see a bit more sun tomorrow. Maybe not quite as sunny as today, but still a fair amount of sunshine. The big difference tomorrow is the temperatures will be a little bit cooler. And we're not done with wintry weather just yet, Louise. As we get closer to the end of the week, actually Good Friday, so Thursday night into Friday morning, some accumulating snow will be possible as well, which is not uncommon for wintry weather in the month of April here on PEI, but we could be looking at a slushy, wet accumulation really Thursday night and into your Friday morning for Good Friday. Let's take a look at temperatures right now, this hour across the island. It was absolutely stunning in terms of those temperatures. Earlier this afternoon, Charlottetown Airport saw a daytime high of 8 degrees, and our afternoon temperatures or our daytime high temperatures were generally between +4 and +8 across the island, still sitting between 2 and 6 degrees on the plus side, despite the fact that the winds have now become a bit more northwesterly, between 20 to 30 kilometers per hour sustained. We could see some gusts to about 40 both this evening and through the overnight hours tonight. Those winds will begin to ease, but it's a northwesterly wind tomorrow, not the brisk westerly wind we saw today. That's going to subdue temperatures with that wind coming in off the Gulf just a bit tomorrow. So we'll be actually below our seasonal average for daytime highs across the island tomorrow. Not bad, just not nearly as nice as today was. It's a beauty to be out here in the Winslow Weather Bureau on the back deck today. We do have a weak ridge of high pressure that we'll be building in. It's that area of low pressure that's up, pushing up towards eastern Labrador, western Newfoundland. That continues to exit tonight. More northwesterly winds as we get into the overnight hours tonight. This forecast model showing that sky very clear through the overnight hours. I do expect a few cloudy periods, and where we see those clouds develop, a few flakes may be possible as well. Some very isolated, light, scattered flurries tonight and tomorrow. And the best risk for those, or chance for those, I should say, would be probably through the morning hours tomorrow. Bit less of a chance into the afternoon. But for most areas, we're looking at a mix of sun and cloud tomorrow afternoon. A fair amount of sunshine through the day. As we roll this ahead into your Wednesday, we will watch for a few isolated flurries possible on Wednesday. We do have an approaching storm system that is tracking to our south. This is not the weather maker that we're looking at for Thursday and Friday. It's another one I'm keeping my eye on. Still a lot of uncertainty between the forecast models in terms of the exact track, how much wet snow versus how much rain we're going to see. But it could be a significant accumulation into Friday morning. So keep checking back this week here on Compass, and I'll have updates for you through the week as we get closer. As for tonight, it's a slight isolated flurry chance. Temperatures between -1 and -3 over western PEI. Fair amount of sunshine in your forecast tomorrow, but no 8-degree daytime highs. It's going to be topping out between 0 and +2. Central and eastern areas tonight, we will be watching for a slight flurry risk. Temperatures down to the -1 to -2 degree range. Would not be surprised if a few spots you're not seeing on the weather map did dip down as cold as -3 tomorrow afternoon. Anywhere from +1 to +3 for those afternoon temperatures. Slight flurry risk. I just think a better chance in the morning than in the afternoon, where I'm expecting predominantly a mix of sun and cloud across the island. Now, we do have a chance of flurries on Wednesday, nothing too heavy. Mix of sun and cloud, temperatures near seasonal on Thursday. Will be a little bit cooler, and really Thursday night into Friday, that's where we have that chance for some accumulating wet snow before switching to a wintry mix. Still a lot of uncertainty in terms of amounts, but it could be enough to make things a little bit slushy for Good Friday. Louise?
All right, thanks. We must be making progress. No hat and no jacket tonight, so that's a good sign, I think.
Yes.
All right.
I had to comb my hair for the first time in weeks.
I bet. Okay. See you tomorrow, Jay. Thank you. Well, as we take a break, take a look at this great video. This is the North Star Bantam A's from Rustico showing off their physical distancing and, of course, their hockey skills at the same time. It's a great video. There's more Compass still ahead. Stay with us. Well, before we go tonight, we want to say congratulations to PEI's own Irish Mython. She was named Solo Artist of the Year over the weekend for the Canadian Folk Music Awards. Now, those awards were supposed to be in Charlottetown this year, but were cancelled because of the COVID-19 pandemic. They were handed out virtually instead. They will be in Charlottetown next year. Daniel Ledwell was another Island winner. He was named Producer of the Year. So big congratulations to both of them. Thank you for joining us tonight for Compass. You can log on to cbc.ca/PEI for more news from our province 24 hours a day. Vashi Kapelos is up next with Power and Politics, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. Good night, PEI.